Hello world, this is Al. I'd like to discuss a common problem which interferes with proper deduction. The problem is we tend to be in a hurry to find our answers, and so before completely observing the facts, we start making inferences about them. We find ourselves making an observation and immediately trying to deduce its meaning before continuing on to observe the rest of the facts. So, why is this a problem? Because doing so can cause us to make further mistakes, miss important details, and fail to connect points that we might need in order to solve the puzzle. Well then, what is the proper method? To take it step by step. Begin by observing, take in and record details one by one, and refrain from making inferences about them. Simply observe. Next, you can begin the deduction process. Ask yourself what the facts as a whole seem to point to, and then consider each fact you observed. Only then can you begin making inferences. Doing it this way will help you realize connections between certain things that you may miss, and deduce properly what you might otherwise fail to. You see, when you take the former approach of observing one detail, then making an inference about it, then observing another, and so on, you can easily and unknowingly create a skewed picture of what could be a simple, clear image. Here's an example. You're trying to get a cold read on a person sitting near you on the bus. You first observe a white marking on his boot. It's a diagonal line which starts at the front on the inside above the big toe and goes back across the foot about 3 inches. You deduce he's a construction worker who had something drag across his boot while he was walking. Next you observe his hands are clean, but he has white powder under the fingernails on his right hand. You deduce that because his hands are clean, he's probably the manager of the site and scuffed his boot on the way out. However, if you had observed both of these facts before making any deductions, you might have come to a very different conclusion. For example, his hands are clean because he is now finished with work, but the white powder under his nails suggests he was working earlier, in fact, carrying the very same thing which scuffed his boot, hence the angle. This is, of course, an imaginary example, but I do think it expresses my point. Observe and gather all the data you can before trying to make a deduction about it. Thank you for listening. This has been Logic Lessons with Al.